And Art Laffer, former Reagan economist, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, author of Taxes Have Consequences. And if that weren't enough, we have Kevin Hassett, former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors under the Trump administration and author of The Drift, Stopping America's Slide to Socialism. Kevin Hassett, Harvard, what, did I get this right? Harvard, Princeton, Chicago, the Treasury, hang on a second, said the Trump tax cuts worked and worked well. What do you make of that? I'm almost in shock.
Well, honestly, I know those guys. They're professional tax economists, and they go where the data leads, which is something that's kind of a rare treat. It's not very often, though, that people are willing to even research things that support, Trump policies, and I commend them for their courage. The one thing I got to say, though, is that there's something in the paper. One thing I disagree with. They actually said that the White House estimate, they didn't cite the estimate per se, was exactly correct on how much investment would go up because of the corporate tax cut. But they say that it had no effect on revenue, and I really, really don't think that's correct because you remember I estimated the Laffer curve before we did the tax cuts, and since we were 35%, that the revenue is going to go up. Well, revenue went from about $300 billion corporate revenue to north of $400 billion since the tax cuts, and so revenue's gone up. I don't know how they say that revenue is flat. It's just inconsistent with the data. Arthur, that's your cue. Arthur Laffer of the Laffer curve. That's your cue. Tax rates down, revenue up.
Yeah, and even in the first 2 years of it, Larry, revenues were higher, substantially higher than they were 2 years prior, and much higher than they had been. The increase had been the prior 2 years. So revenues were up even right in the first 2 years. Total revenues now from the government. That was there. And Kevin's totally right. The thing that amazed me, Larry, on this whole thing is Kevin has always made a point of how real wages would be rising. And he had this extreme view. I mean, and there it came true. I mean, Kevin, you deserve, a laurel around your head or whatever it is for predicting those wages. They just went bang way up. And then the poverty levels and all the minority groups and everything went to the lowest levels ever. Larry, it was great. Let me just say that I believe up until the pandemic that President Trump, on economics now, I'm just talking economics, was the single best president we've had in probably 100 years on good economics. He was better than Reagan in the short term. He's better than Kennedy. He just did the greatest job on economics I've seen. And then once the pandemic hit, all hell broke loose. But he was just phenomenal, and you guys did a great job in guiding him.
Actually, it's interesting on the pandemic. Tyler Goodspeed wrote this in his brief memo. The whole year, 2020, when the economy collapsed, but we talked about the V-shaped recovery, actually it was only down 1.1% for the entire year. A very modest decline considering it was a once-in-100-year catastrophe. And Kevin, you were not only right that the brunt of the benefits from these corporate tax cuts did, in fact, fall on the wage earners. The wage earners benefited the most, not the rich, not even consumer price. It was the wage earners. You were right. It was a brilliant insight. You were out there for a while, but you got a lot of help, and you were correct. But also, Kevin, there was no inflation. I just want to make that point. You cut taxes, wage earners benefited, revenues went up, and inflation, you look at the inflation during that whole period, 2017, 2019, I throw in 2020, I don't care. I think the inflation rate was under 2%. Kevin Hassett.
Right, because when supply goes up, then prices go down. Right. I want to talk about the COVID thing, Larry, because it's something that you deserve a lot of credit for, and it also explains inflation. And I'll do it real quick. But you said when we first started talking about what are we going to do about these lockdowns, which we weren't really in favor of, that you said, well, we don't really know what's going to happen, so we got to do a little bit at a time. And in the end that year, we had 5 stimulus bills that you and I estimated very carefully to fill the hole that was being dug by Tony Fauci. And so at the end of the year, even though they had a 32% drop in GDP was about flat for the year. That was by your design. Wow. And then what happened is Biden came in and he had this massive stimulus that we didn't need, and that's where inflation came from. But the fact that you led the team that exactly filled the hole, right? So it was only down 1% after the biggest drop since the Great Depression is really a remarkable accomplishment.
You're way too kind, but you and Tyler Goodspeed and we worked together. we had to replace lost income, and we knew it was a temporary loss and it would get filled in, and that's what we did, and it expired. We had it expiring. What Biden did in 21 was unpardonable because we didn't need it. There was a boom. But, you know, Art, Biden has never told the truth about that. He always says he inherited a, quote, reeling economy, end quote, and he says that inflation started on high inflation under Trump. The growth rate he was handed in the first quarter of 21 was 6.5% at an annual rate, and the inflation rate was about 1.5% on the CPI. Biden has never acknowledged it. He's never acknowledged that, just like it took him 2 years to acknowledge how good the vaccines were to get us out of that hole.
Yeah, that's very true. And in fact, when you look at GDP growth or something, we've never caught back up to the growth path that Trump had before. It's still well below that growth path. In employment and GDP, in all of these measures, he's never caught back up. And he always touts this Bidenomics, Larry. But there is no Bidenomics that's any good. You've got the inflation, and Kevin's completely correct. When you have a bumper crop in apples, the price of apples goes down, not goes up, and that's exactly what happened under Trump. You got this huge expansion, and the inflation stayed low. Then when Biden came in, you had all these transfer payments, which increases demand and also shrinks supply. And you see the price level having risen, I don't know, what is it, almost 20% since he's taken office?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
inflation.
ridiculous. And
Inflation.
by the way, that should be also in the stock market number.
Inflation has come down.
When you talk
prices
about the
have
stock
gone
market,
up.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean...
And they keep going up every period.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. All right, let's talk about the Fed quickly. We had Michigan survey today of consumer sentiment. Confidence is falling. Inflation fears are rising. Here we got a lovely clip of Jay Powell, who did something, by the way, that I liked a lot. Here's Jay Powell yesterday. Just take a listen to this clip.
Thank you. Just close the door. Where was I? Inflation was coming down. The labor market remains tight. U.S. inflation has come down over the past year, but remains well above our 2% target. My colleagues and I are, of course, gratified by this progress.
Look at that. We don't need all that stuff. But he told them to close the effing door because they were obnoxious people. That's the part that I wanted to show. And okay,
yes.
the Fed, but he did say, Art, and this is where we'll end up our segment. He did say yesterday that the Fed may not be finished with their interest rate hiking and that he is not completely sure that he is going to get to the 2% inflation target. Do you have, I'd like to get both of you with a quick thought on where the Fed is going.
Yeah, well, all he said forever was when you raise interest rates, you slow the economy down, and that controls inflation. We've had the fastest growth with those rates rising to the highest levels. The model is totally wrong, and yet he still sticks with that model nonstop. It's just a total mistake, and I have no confidence in the Fed whatsoever.
Kevin, be that as it may, you think there are more Fed rate hikes in front of us next year, for example?
There are more. Right. There are more rate hikes coming, and the reason is that the Biden big spending is still out there. And so if you spend lots of money and you attack supply, you create inflation. Those fiscal policy forces are still in place. And so Jay Powell has an almost impossible task on his hand because Biden has lit a fire on inflation that's not going away.
Well, as he said, close that effing door. I think that was one of his finest moments. Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Art Laffer. Thank you, Kevin Hassett. Hat tip to Donald Trump for his corporate tax cuts.